Hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well and safe. In today's video and Friday's video, I'm going to talk about some elements of writing an essay, of a great writing. Okay, how to write, or how to write, or how to use a research paper effectively in your essay. Okay, because as I said to you, when you start writing your essay is going to be based on a research paper. So I'm going to give you a research paper, and you need to give or to provide evidence or to take evidence from the research paper. Okay, so first of all, guys, you need to avoid plagiarism, definitely. Okay, and when I say avoiding plagiarism, it means that if you use an original source in your paper, you must cite it. Okay, otherwise it's gonna be considered academic dishonesty, and you are going to be guilty of academic theft. Okay, so you need to cite the word, like to cite who said it. Okay, or basically the website, or the name of the paper or the work that you have taken from. So either intentionally or accidentally, you need to write the name of the author, or the name of the group of people who worked on this specific topic. Now, I'm not going to talk about the citations in details, but I'm just going to give you some notices. Okay. Now, regarding the quotation, guys, you have direct quotation, you have paraphrase, and you have summarizing. I'm not going to talk about synthesizing. Okay, it's not for your level, it's not for your grade, but I'm going to talk about the first three. When I say direct quotation, it means that you take the exact words from the resource. Okay, you take the words, the sentences as they are, and you use them in your essay. This is called direct quotation, but this does not always work. Okay, I'm going to tell you later. Now, paraphrase is when you take from the resource the idea, but you use your own words. Okay, similar amount of text. So you need to make sure that it is not longer and it's not shorter than the original one. Okay, and then when you summarize, you need, let's say you have a paragraph in the research paper, and you like the idea and you would like to include it in your speech as evidence. Okay, you can't take it as direct quotation. You can't take the exact paragraph and put it in your essay, because it's very long. Therefore, you need to summarize it. And in order to summarize the paragraph, the main points should be the same. Okay, the idea should be the same, but it has to be in a shorter way. Okay, you need to paraphrase a little bit, and then you need to make a shorter version of the paragraph using your own words. Now, let's say we have direct quotation first. Okay, let's say you're gonna take a sentence, all right, not a paragraph. Let's say you're gonna take a sentence from the research paper, you liked it, and you're gonna include it in your essay. Now, in order to include it, you need to first write, okay, to write the name of the person who wrote it. Okay, for example, according to a well-known comment by Wilkins, let's say. Okay, this is the name of the author, and you have to write these kind of words like according to, or similar to what X person said. Okay, and then you write the date when I say the date is always mentioned in the research paper, the date of publishing the research paper. Okay, it's always basically in the corner or at the beginning of the research, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and then you open the quotation mark. Okay, you open the quotation marks, and then you write or you take the sentence as it is. You don't even change a word. You take the sentence as it is, and then you close the quotation marks, and then you write the page in the brackets. Okay, page 100, page 95, whatsoever. Okay, or for example, I have another one. In her report of the financial status of the company, Chief Financial Officer Maria Simpson said, comma, and then you open the quotation, you take the sentence as it is, and then you close it, and make sure you put the dot, okay, before the quotation marks. Is everything, I hope everything is clear. Okay, and when it comes to paraphrasing, you need to read and understand the source material, and you need to keep the main idea, or if you have different ideas, you need to keep them all, okay, of the information that you want to use, and you need to think of a different way to present that information. Now, you need to keep in mind that whenever you paraphrase, you need to use different vocabulary words, you need to use different sentence and grammatical structures. The structure of the sentence should be different. Okay, you don't use the same structure. So here, for example, I started with gerund. I can flip it in a way that I can begin with a personal pronoun, or not personal pronoun, with a pronoun, let's say. Okay, so the structure of the sentence should always change because it's paraphrasing. And paraphrasing is a difficult skill because it involves using different words. So for example, instead of using important, you can say essential, you can say crucial. Okay, there's a lot of words that can replace the word important, and this depends on your knowledge, on how many words you have, on how many synonyms you can give to a certain word. Okay, now, in order to paraphrasing is obviously a step as well in the summarizing. So if you don't want to take the sentence as it is, if you don't want to take it as it is, you can just paraphrase it. Okay, and here, for example, Wilkins, 1972, indicated that vocabulary is more important than grammar in communication. That's it. Okay, you don't have quotation marks, you don't have page, because this is your own words. Okay, you just put the date. But as I said to you, direct quotation does not always work. Alright, because when you have big paragraphs, when you have big ideas, you can't take the paragraphs as they are and include them in your essay. You need to summarize the main idea and then paraphrase it, and then you include the idea, not the paragraph, in your essay. So here, for example, instead of saying selling a product successfully in another country often requires changes in the product, okay, I can write it in another way. For example, here I began with a gerund. I can begin here in another way. So I change the structure of the sentence. For example, Theo, 2017, I always have the date, okay, suggests that companies that market or that vend products, so instead of sell, I used market. Products can stay the same, or you can say items. Okay, products well instead of successfully are used well. Usually do so by making changes in the products. So I changed the whole structure and I used my own words. And the poor paraphrase here when you keep the words as they are. So, for example, here the paraphrasing or the paraphrase is very poor. Why? Because they kept the words like sell, successfully in another country. They did not change anything. Even if you change the structure of the sentence, and if you keep the words as they are, this is not considered paraphrasing. Okay, you need to change the structure, and you need to give synonyms or other synonyms to the words that you have or to the original words. I'm gonna go down. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the regarding the in-text citation. You just have to make sure that the name of the author is mentioned according to Cox's Head, let's say, and the date. And then if it's direct quotation, make sure you open the quotation marks. Okay, and make sure you have the page if it's direct quotation. Okay, if it's not direct quotation, you can omit or you can remove the page. Okay, so adding the page to the paraphrasing one can be optional. All right. Now regarding end of not this one. Yes. Now, summarizing. Another way to include information from an original source is by summarizing. And you need to read the source material and understand it very well. You need to decide which ideas or pieces of information in the source material are the most important. Okay, so some information is basically subtle. Okay, I don't care about them. They're not basically that much important. And then you need to paraphrase each idea using different grammar and vocabulary words. And then you connect the paraphrased ideas together in the same order they appear in the original, and then you include it in your essay. So a summary is always shorter than the original piece. It cannot be longer. Okay, it's called summarization or summarizing for a reason. Okay, a 10-page article might become a few paragraphs in a summary, and a 200-page book might be summarized in a short essay. So make sure you take the most important idea, okay, and then you paraphrase it, and then you summarize it. Make sure you change, you give synonyms, and you change the words. Okay, for example, here, instead, I have, let's say, this paragraph. It's a very big paragraph, let's say. Okay, so I have summarized it in a shorter way. So instead I can say companies must adapt their products if they want to sell, blah blah blah, up until here. So it covers the main ideas. It is a true summary, not an exact one, so it's not repeated. Okay, and it includes some new grammar or some new structures, and it includes some new vocabulary words. Now, the poor summary is when you have a big Okay, a very long summary for a paragraph that even has the same size. So it's not basically summary, it's not a summary. Okay, why? Because it's as long as the original one. And the poor one does not, or it includes the same vocabulary words, okay, and it includes the same grammar. That's why you need to change the structure of the sentence, always. And when you change the structure, the grammar might change with you. I think that's everything I wanted to discuss with you guys. As I said to you regarding the synthesizer, I'm not gonna talk about it. Um, this is very, very important in terms of writing uh, your your essay, because as I said to you, I'm going to distribute research papers, and you are going to take evidence from the research paper. And when you include evidence, or when you support your idea with evidence, it means that you have reached um, an effective writing of an essay. So I hope everything is clear now. I'm gonna post an assignment, okay, and this assignment is going to be um, paraphrasing and summarizing, okay, for you to practice for the essay later. I hope everything is clear, and make sure you are in a safe place, and see you later. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any future content.